Thank you so much for joining me today for our webinar, Social Media Prospecting. My name is Derek Wazinski, and I'm the Chief Sales Hacker here for Zinbit. Today's webinar is primarily how to utilize social media and turn it into a prospecting engine for your organization. Let's talk a little bit about what people say on the internet, what you're probably reading a lot in LinkedIn about social selling. There's a lot of traditional sales trainers and sales gurus out there that will tell you that social selling doesn't work. And what will they say? They'll say that since the beginning of time, salespeople have had to interrupt people. No one is going to sit there and read your social media posts. They say that cold calling is still the best way to get in front of the C-suite. And you got to pick up the phone and make 100 dials to get in front of that VP or that C-level person so they'll buy your widget. They say social selling, that's just an easy button that's perpetuated by charlatans. These people, they say, haven't sold, they don't sell in the real world, and they just want your money to sell you social sales training. And they say social selling reps have skinny kids. Since you're a commission-based salesperson, if you're not picking up the phone, if you're not knocking on doors, scheduling meetings, then you're not going to be able to feed your family. There's a funny thing though. All of these messages that I'm receiving, not a single person has ever picked up the phone and called me to tell me these things. All of these messages, every single one of them, I'm receiving from outbound sales trainers through social media, whether it be LinkedIn or Twitter feeds, whether it be video messaging. All of that socially is being delivered to me to get me to hire them, or at least talk to them about selling me some outbound prospecting, some traditional cold calling sales prospecting. So let me ask you this. I guess the question is if social selling didn't work, how come they're using it to sell sales training? Just a question that you may want to ask yourself the next time. And really one of the things that you can take a look at here is that here, let's go old school. Let's go objections versus answers. Their very first objection was you have to interrupt people. No one is going to read your social media posts. See, the fallacy with that is that you don't need 1 million followers. Everybody talks about followers, that you need to go ahead and get 100,000 followers, and you can't pay the bank your mortgage with likes and comments on your posts and everything else like that. Well, that's the fallacy, because we're thinking in the old way of selling. The old way of marketing, the old way of advertising, where the absolute number is the most important. But as you'll find with social selling is you don't need 1 million followers. You need 100 that will buy from you and then give you referrals. It's a completely different mathematical equation that old school or traditional salespeople or sales trainers don't seem to get. Cold calling, they say, is still the best way to get in front of the C-suite. Well, I don't know about you, but top-down selling, especially in my market, which is SaaS, software as a service, doesn't work. At the core of Zinbit is the Zinbox software, which is $10 per month. It's a subscription. What C-level person I'm going to pick up the phone and call wants to talk to me about $10 per month software? Let's be realistic. If I'm running a company, I don't want to have that conversation. And what if you're selling copiers? What if you're selling iPhone apps? What if you're selling industrial lubricant for manufacturing machines or business insurance? None of those conversations should be starting in the C-suite. And if you're wasting your time trying to call C-suite to talk about those types of things, that's probably why you may be having problems with your numbers. Social selling is an easy button that's perpetuated by charlatans. My answer to that is buying a list and calling a bunch of people using a script is easy. That's an easy button. People have been doing that for years, for decades. Creating a social media brand for yourself, not for your company, but for yourself, that's hard. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. And that last one, social selling reps have skinny kids. I can, be quite honest, my kids aren't skinny. My kids are well fed, and they're having the time of their life. So let's just put that let's just put those fallacies to the side, those objections. Those objections are all based in people trying to talk to you to sell you sales training, selling you a sales book, that type of thing. I don't have a book. We don't sell sales training over here at ZenBit. We sell software. We're just providing you kind of our best practices of what we've learned and what I've learned in order to how to market your product, your solution, your widget, your service, and how to go ahead and utilize social selling to best create an engine for prospecting. So that's what we're going to talk about the next couple things. The reality you have to face is if your prospecting is 90% of your potential buyers aren't even in the market. They're not even actively looking. So big deal, you call 1 out of 10 people, answer the phone, and you're able to get a meeting. 1 out of 10 of those people are in the market, and 1 out of 10 of those people are interested in buying right now. I mean, the math just doesn't equate anymore. The world doesn't exist where I can pick up the phone and make 100 calls and get 10, 15, 20 meetings anymore. And I used to do that. You can't do that anymore. And if you are, great. You know, that's one of the things that I really want to talk to you about here. This other slide, this other kind of comment to you is, you know, how you order your tacos is up to you. If you like to cold call, then do that thing if it works for you. If you like to pick up the phone and talk on a script or figure out a way to get in front of C-suite and that works for you and that works for your market or your product, then do it. Don't take my advice and don't take the advice of any sales expert out there that's trying to get you to change the way you do things if it's working for you. You know, you'll get people out there on all sides, you know, like with tacos. Hard corn shells are for losers, you know. You don't have sour cream, what are you, crazy? Beef is horrible, you should have chicken. They don't have to eat your taco. They don't have to eat the food that you've ordered. Only you have to. So at the very end of the day, if social selling prospecting sounds good for you and it looks like something that will work for you, then do that thing. And here's an option, here's some ideas for you to do it. And if it doesn't, then don't. But don't listen to any sales trainer or any sales guru out there who's been selling their own book or their own training for 15 years tell you they know better than you how to sell your customers your widget, because it just ain't so. And I think you know that. So this is another fallacy. You don't have to go all in. Quite honestly, you don't have to throw out your telephone. You don't have to get rid of your direct mail, however you're prospecting, however you're marketing right now. There are some facts out there. 72% of salespeople utilizing social media outperform their peers. Right? They also exceed quota by 23% or more. So really, if outbound for you is a job requirement or it's working for you, then do it. Augment it with what you see here, though. Add parts of what you're about to see. Document the meetings and contacts and deals that you win through social selling versus traditional outbound prospecting. And then when you look at the math and you see which side of the ledger more deals are on, increase the time and effort doing that thing. I invariably think that you'll see the effort spent on social selling will be where you're going to spend most of your time. But again, your mileage may vary, so that's completely up to you. But don't go all in. You don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Ease yourself into it and work into it and manage and measure. So social selling in practice is really the idea of utilizing digital channels to communicate to prospects to turn them into customers. And the ability and the basic way to do that is to create interesting content or an interesting connection that leads to meetings, that leads to conversations, that leads to deals, right? 65% of all current buyers right now feel that a vendor's content has an impact on their final purchase decision. Their content, the stuff on your website, the stuff in your LinkedIn feed, the stuff that you're sending them via email is directly impactful on their final purchase decision. I'm telling you, if you're allowing marketing or someone else to write that content for you, All I'd have to ask you is, as a sales professional, if 65% of your commission was based on a certain thing, would you let that certain thing be managed by another person? 65% of your compensation was based upon delivery of your solution. Do you just let other people deliver it for you? Are you not involved in that process? Do you not want to know what's going on? And do you not want to at least run that process? So think of it in those terms. If 65% of buyers feel the vendor's content has an impact on final purchase decisions, shouldn't you be involved in the creation of that content? So first things first, let's take a look at 3 social media channels: LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And Facebook, I've recently created a Facebook business profile. I've been a Facebook personal user for years, and Facebook has some wonderful things for even B2B and enterprise-based selling that I'm finding very valuable. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first things first, on your social media channels, much of it is the me wall. Much of it is the feed about me. It's, when you're talking LinkedIn, it's about years at or above quota, how many President Club awards you got. I see pictures of people getting awards and showing their crystal goblets that they got for being rep of the month, rep of the year, rep of the quarter. They talk like a resume, how many millions of dollars of business you did, how many big clients you got. Here's a picture of all the people, of all the prospects that care that you made quota last year or last month. That picture is the same picture of all the prospects you have in your market that care that you went to President's Club last year or the last 10 years. See, the issue is that we have to drastically turn around how we're looking at social media for us as salespeople. It's not a resume. It's not something I create to get my next job at widget.com so I can be a sales rep at widget.com and sell that thing. The first thing a prospect does when they get an email from me, when they get a phone call from me, when they get a message from me via LinkedIn, is they go to my profile. And you have to think about your profiles, your social media profiles, as that first response, that first thing that customers look at when they see you. Is it about your awards? Or should it be about them? Should it be about the customer? So we're not talking about retuning your social media strategy here. We're talking about a complete rebuild, basically blowing it up and building it from scratch. First off, your social media profiles need a story. And they need a story about not only your product, but about your customer and what they're looking for and what their problems are, something that resonates with them. Think about your favorite movies. Think about your favorite books. Think about your favorite songs that you have. Most of them will most likely tell a story that resonates with you on a personal level. People don't watch movies that have nothing to do with them, that they don't feel like they're involved with the characters, that they can't find parallels between themselves and either the main character or the bad guy or something else like that. You also have to give a lot to get a lot. You have to really, really give valuable insight to a lot of prospects that may not ever even go onto your website and buy anything or call you up or answer the phone. But the fact is that that's the only way you provide real value. And engagement is the key. You want them to engage with you. You want them to say, hey, great article. What do you think of this? You want them to say, hey, you know what? I disagree. Blah, 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 blah. You don't want to jump up and ask, oh, that's fantastic. You disagree. Would you like a 30-minute meeting in order to see my demo? Meetings come later in the process. You need to engage, and you're driving for engagement. You want them to react to what you've said or what you've done or the story you've told. So then you can go ahead and engage with them and work to a place where you can say, now that we've engaged, now that you know a little bit about me and I know a little about you, I think it would be mutually beneficial for you to take a look at my demo. And here's why. Look at your profiles from a prospect or customer's point of view. Take off your glasses, put on the glasses of your customer. When you look at your LinkedIn or your Facebook or your Twitter feed, do they present you as a credible professional who has valuable insights? Or do they present you as someone who likes cat videos? So let's take a look at what we're looking at as far as so let's take a look at my social media profiles, and we'll take a look at them, and we'll then be able to go ahead and determine how these best practices may work for you. So first off, let's take a look at my LinkedIn. So we're taking a look at my LinkedIn here, and we see my title is not Director of Sales, blah, 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 blah. What do I really do? Well, I'm involved in, modern sales process improvement. Hopefully I have some customer success leadership. I do have some expertise in demand generation, and I have some social selling mastery. This is kind of like when I'm in LinkedIn, this is the very first thing people see when they see your name or when they see. So I want to see exactly what people think, what I can do for them or how I can help them. It's also about content. Are you creating your own content? Are you sharing content? And if not, why not? Because really that's the only way you can provide your own value. And I'm not talking about just sharing stuff you're getting from marketing about your new widget or your new software. Do you have any insight of your own about your customers? And we'll talk a little bit about how to get that. And you see here, when we take a look at my current job, no customer or prospect cares about the job I had before this. Really, because they can't build a time machine and go back in time and buy something from me when I was at Xerox. So why do I waste time talking about that? No, at the very first, everything is poured into the job that I have now, the position I'm in now, and that's what I talk about, and that's what I'm into. This isn't a resume, it's a commercial. And it's a commercial that you want engagement for. So nobody cares about where you went to college. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. They care about your current job, what you're doing now, and how you can help them. Also, it's not just about text. How about adding a video intro? We did a little cartoon here on a little cartoon ad about a minute long. Doing a YouTube video, doing something else. Video is one of the quickest ways to get your message out to people immediately through your social media profile. A 30-second video has more opportunity to reach more people than all of the long form posts and all of the emails that you'll ever send. So use video, use audio, use things that people can click, listen, and move forward. And again, are you creating content? And if not, why not? If you've been in business 10 years, if you've been in business 5 years, if you've been a salesperson for 1 year, you have valuable insight that you can offer potential clients and prospects about how to buy your stuff, about how to manage whatever you're trying to help them with. And if you don't think you have valuable insight, maybe you're in the wrong business, because you should. Now, how can you get people to care if you don't share? And what do I mean by that? Well, if it's all about me and my content and everything else, then it's really not about the customer. So there's other people that are providing great information and great insight and great content out there. And that's, again, not my marketing. I'm talking about other thought leaders, other people that have insight, people you agree with, people you disagree with. Share that content, build your network. Because I tell you what, you share someone's long form post or their video, they're going to follow you. They're going to start sharing your stuff, and then their audience is your audience. You do this strategically. You don't share stuff just from people that have no connection to what you do. You share stuff from people that have a network of potential clients of yours, and thereby everything that you post that they like or they share is viewed by their network, which becomes an opportunity for you. And we'll talk about how that happens. So let's talk about Twitter. Twitter's kind of the same way. And so, you have to follow to get followed. So you have to follow people, you have to read their tweets, you have to go ahead and be engaged. It's not just a a megaphone. It's a conversation. It's a dialogue that you're having. And as you notice, my branding is pretty universal. It's the same picture. It's the same graph there in the back that I have. This isn't my company's branding. This is my branding, because my social media branding is mine. It's not my company's. Because if I can't show value myself as an individual person, what right do I have to ask people to talk to me about what my company has to offer? Really. If all I am is a mouthpiece for Zenbit and that's the only value I have, let's just, build a robot that can talk about Zenbit. Right? And believe me, that's what AI is. That's what chatbots are. And that's what they're trying to do. So if that's your job, if your only job is to carry the company value proposition and put that forward, be prepared to be looking for more work in the next couple of years, because those jobs as salespeople are quickly disappearing. And again, you've got to be down with what I like to call OPC, other people's content. You have to share, you have to like, you have to retweet, and here in Twitter I'm retweeting. You have to get engaged with other people that share either similar or conflicting insights that you have within the industry that you're working in. If you don't, it's going to be very lonely in your social media space, because people don't talk to people that talk all about themselves. Think about your own life. And social media is just a digital version of what goes on in real life. You ever been at a party? You ever been to an office function, and you stand there? You ever been in the coffee room at work in the little cafe area, and you get a cup of coffee and there's Bill, and all Bill talks about is himself. He talks about his car, he talks about his kids, he talks about his family, he talks about the deal he just closed, he talks about the vacation he just went on. You ever see Bill in the coffee room and then say, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go to Starbucks." You ever see Bill at the going out after work with the guys and gals for drinks, and you go, "I got beer at home. I'll go home." Don't be Bill. Talk about other people. Be interested in other people. Share other people's information, and you'll go much further within social media. Facebook's a little different. It's a little looser. So I'm kind of having a little more fun there. I still have some of the basic branding, but I also have a little cartoon image up there. Again, I'm trying to experiment with social media here on Facebook, because this is relatively new to me, utilizing Facebook. I can tell you at this writing, I definitely have more friends now than I had, but it's really not about the number of friends. I'm not looking for 5,000 friends on Facebook. I'm looking for a couple hundred that will carry my message out to my ideal customer profile, right? And so it's not about the number, it's about the who. So when you're writing content and when you're creating content for all these different social media channels, you really have to think of like how newspaper people used to think. The who, what, where, why, and how. That's what the issue was in the article, right? That's, if anybody was ever in journalism in high school or in yearbook, that writing a story, you need that information. And in this case, it's not about the school buying substandard lunch meat for lunches, or it's not about a teacher issue with grades or whatever else, or it's even not about politics or anything that's going on in the current media right now. This who, what, where, why, and how is really about your ICP, what's called your ideal customer profile. Excuse me. So really, it's who are the people that you should be talking to. Are they C-level people? Are they administrators? Are they HR people? Who are the people you should be talking to? What are they interested in? Not what you want to communicate to them, because honestly, nobody cares what you want to communicate to them. That's not a slam on you. Nobody cares what I want to communicate to them, right? You're only in this webinar, you're only watching this recording because you're interested in utilizing social media for prospecting. You could care less about me or my life or my kids or whatever. You're interested in communicating with me because you find value, or at least potential value, in what I'm going to say. So this is a good example of communicating what you're interested in as opposed to what I'm interested in. Where are you spending your time? Where are they spending your time? Where's your ICP spending their time? And that's digitally, that's physically. Why am I interesting to them? That's a question that's very hard for a lot of salespeople to ask because they're afraid of the answer. Why am I interesting to my prospect? Is it because I'm just a mouthpiece for my company? I'm just a way to verbalize to create our value proposition in a physical manifestation? Or am I something else? Do I provide more value? Why does anyone want to hear what I'm saying? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. And then how do I get them to engage with me once I reach out? How do I do that? What do I do? What are the things that I can do in order to get them to engage with me? So this is what I call pregame prep. So really the first thing you need to do, and this is, if you don't take anything else away from this webinar, do this one thing and you will see your social media engagement ratchet up a great deal. You need to search out, connect, friend, and follow, and network. Make a connection, whatever, with every current customer you have. Every single one. Because these current customers are the ones that will help you create your ideal customer profile and figure out the who, what, where, why, and how. And they will help you vet your content. So the content you end up creating is going out to current customers. They're saying, hey, this is good. I'm going to share this. This is fantastic. And their comments and likes and shares will create engagement in their networks, where that 93% of your addressable market lives. And what do I mean by that? If you're selling to HR professionals, who's in their LinkedIn network? Not copier salesmen, not software salespeople. Other HR professionals are in their social media networks. If you're selling to AP clerks or CFOs or CEOs or LMNOPs, whatever, the people in their professional and social networks are people like them. And if you are connected to one CEO or one AP manager or one HR director, connecting with them, writing content they're interested in, and getting them to engage with you will put that content in the feeds and in the social media spaces of their connections and their friends. This is what's called your second level network. Do this one thing and you will have drastic results, drastically positive results in your social media outreach. So go into Salesforce, go into Dynamics, find out all the names of your customers, and then go in social media, find them all, and connect to them. I can't stress this enough. This is incredibly important. So your ICP, your ideal customer profile, well, who is that? What is that? And like I said, it's different for everybody. My ICP, I've got a couple of them. I've got salespeople like yourself, who are my ideal customer profile. I've also got Salesforce and CRM administrators are my ideal customer profile. And then I've got a third, which is sales leaders, VPs of sales, directors of sales. And really, they're all part of one ICP. I've just split mine into different personas, but that's kind of like ICP, class, 200, 300 series. We're in ICP 101 here. So this is just creating your ICP. Who is it? Who's the person you want to talk to? And marketers have done this for years. Salespeople, relatively don't a lot. But the issue is that marketers are really the wrong people to be creating an ICP because they don't talk to any customers. Who talks to customers all day? Other than your customer success people, which you should be talking to, by the way, but that's an entirely other webinar. Who talks to customers all the day? Who knows best what the ideal customer profile is? Buy yourself a candy bar if you voiced out salesperson, because you're absolutely right. So let's take a look. So I'm not going to talk about my ideal customer profile because again, you don't care about that unless you sell to salespeople. So let's talk about HR as an example. Some of you listening to this may sell to HR, may sell HR software, may be recruiters. I mean, there's a whole list of people that have HR administrators as an ideal customer. So let's take a look here. Sally, she's a female, age 37. She's an urban dweller. She's an HR administrator. And what is she responsible for? Onboarding, hiring, management training. She loves her job. Most HR people are real company people. Their main goals are protect company interest and help employees make sure they're happy. Ask anybody who's an HR professional. Employee retention is one of their biggest challenges because the average time people spend at companies now is less than 3 years, right? So that's a lot of recruiting, a lot of onboarding. Ask any HR professional. They've already had software partners that sold them on software or solutions or services or candidates that didn't work, right? And maybe they saw results initially, but it wasn't sustainable. And so she's wary of salespeople. She's wary of recruiters, right? She's active in LinkedIn HR groups, and she posts at least 3 times a week, right? Her Facebook feed is full of her family and the dog she has and her kids and everything else. And she belongs to a few HR meeting groups, right? She's always looking for ways to make her job better. Sally, if you're selling HR software, if you're selling anything to HR, Sally is your ideal customer. She's the person you want to be talking to, right? So the reason you go through this process, this program here, is the fact that you want to identify Sally as an individual, and everything now that you communicate to Sally is for her benefit. And by getting Sally to interact with you, you will not only communicate with Sally, but all those other people Sally's connected to, all those other HR professionals in her network. So we've taken a look and we see who we need to talk to, what they're interested in, and where they're spending their time. Now I need to know, why am I interesting to them and how can I get them to engage with me, right? And there's basically 3 things I do that. I need content. I call it content 101. I need to comment and share other people's content. That's where I need to start. I need to go out there and find stuff that's interesting to HR administrators like Sally, and I need to comment and share it within my network. That's, of course, after I make all of my current HR customers connections of mine in LinkedIn. And we're talking about LinkedIn right here, right now, because LinkedIn is probably the easiest way for you guys to get started. Content 102 is creating original short form posts. I'll show you how I do that. And then content 103 is the original long form post, figuring out a way to go ahead and write a long form post that resonates with Sally and her network. So let's start out with that. So if you're in LinkedIn, you can go to your search bar and you can search on groups. And remember, you've already done the basics. You've already friended and connected with every one of your current customers, right? So when you look up HR groups, and I just do a real easy search, HR under the groups within LinkedIn, I click on one of those groups and I invariably find I have connections. I have connections that belong to those groups. Now, unbeknownst to you, when I was at Xerox, I used to sell HR software and HR solutions. So HR administrators were opportunities for me. They were my ideal customer profile in one of the solution sets that I offered. And that's why you see in my connections, I have HR people that I'm connected to. So whatever it is, if it's HR for you, if it's AP, if it's operations, whatever it is, you go ahead and search out groups. And so you have, so you know you have connections, and this is important. So just remember you have connections. We've got Kyle, we've got a couple other people here you see. So here's Kyle, he's a connection of mine. So now what I'm going to do? Well, I know that employee retention is a big thing within HR, right? So I'm going to move from finding out who I know within these HR groups, and I'm going to go into posts on LinkedIn about employee retention. And again, this isn't LinkedIn Navigator, this is LinkedIn. So you have a fantastic way to figure out how to share real good content that's not coming from your marketing department about your ideal customer. So I do a search on employer retention and I see there's a bunch of posts. So I go down a little bit and I find, look at this. I've got a guy, Bernard Marr, and he says, why great employees quit. That sounds like a pretty good article that maybe I should share. So let me take a closer look at it. And I can see, wow, it's already been liked by 25,000 people. It's been commented on by 1,400. Almost 9,000 people have shared it. So this sounds like a pretty good article. So what do? I read it. I read it and I figure out, yeah, this is great. This is exactly what my ideal customer profile wants to communicate. And then what I do is I use the share function. And in this case, I'm going to share it to LinkedIn. And what I do is I share it. And I share it to my network. And again, remember, my network is now all of my current HR customers. And what I do is I also call people out in my network. Remember, Kyle was one of my connections, one of my HR connections. So I share the article with my HR administrator network and I say, I know I've left companies for these reasons. How about you? Interested in opinions from Kyle Plett and Marcy Wood. Those are two very active people. Remember in that HR group way back over here? I want to talk to those people. So in this HR group. And then I use hashtags because LinkedIn supports hashtags. So I use hashtag HR, hashtag retention. So if someone searches on these hashtags, they'll come up with my post. And then what I do is I share it. And what will happen there is that post will then go out into my feed. It will go out into the feed of most, if not all, of my connections. They will comment on it. And most importantly, Kyle and Marcy, who I called out, they'll get a notification that they've been called out, and they'll click their notification in LinkedIn. They'll read your article. They'll say, yeah, Derek, thank you for doing that. I think this, that, or the other. And when they write that comment, or when they like your post, that shows up in all of their network's feeds, right? Because you want to communicate. You've already sold Kyle. Kyle's already bought your widget. You want to talk to other people. And what happens is that, and we'll talk a little bit about what you'll start seeing that when people outside your network like and comment on your articles, and that becomes what we call the prospecting engine, the social media prospecting engine. Here's another example of a short form post. This is something I'm just interested in. This is I ask a question. You see here, it's nothing about my company, nothing about Zinbit or what I was selling or whatever, even what you're selling. This is you're trying to offer insight and information and some education. So here's a question. I'm talking to my ICP, our sales leaders and salespeople, right? So I want to see why poor prospecting gets passed because I'm a sales leader and I'm interested in people's opinions. And as I can see, this was a pretty popular topic because over 58,000 people viewed my post. I've had 104 likes and 11 comments. And the great part about that is that when I move that in and I start offering short form posts with images and memes, that gets a much different audience. And you see here, so here's a couple examples of short form posts. You see the text alone gets more views. The text with pictures gets less views, but they get potentially better insight into those particular views. But we'll talk about that. And then we go here. Here's a long form post that I did, and you see here I've got people looking at, but I've got some great likes and some shares. 33 people shared this to their networks. Great information. Why is all of this important, right? This is all great, but how does this help me prospecting? I've shared this content, I've written content, I've shared it to my network, they've liked it, they commented on it. Big whoop, right? Well, here's the big whoop. Because you probably spend a lot of time figuring out who to call. You either buy call lists or you have some type of software that they call a bunch of people and you're interested in talking to VPs of sales or HR administrators. So you could buy a list of HR administrators, right? Or you're looking up HR administrators on LinkedIn and reaching out to them and calling them directly. Here's the thing. Remember what you've done. You've went ahead and connected with all of the customers that you currently have. You've shared interesting and created interesting content that they've commented on. And now you're getting likes and shares from your connections and your connections. They're viewing your profile. And now you see here's a whole bunch of people, 1,000 different people that have viewed my profile in the last 90 days. Since I'm connected to salespeople, and I'm going to be very quiet so you can listen to me hear this. Since I'm connected to salespeople, all of these people are potential customers of mine, or they work for companies that are potential customers of mine. And they have looked at me. They have engaged with me. Some of them, and we'll go into, they've commented and they've liked my posts. I can call Craig or reach out to Craig. Craig now has created a connection with me. He actually found me through a blog post and connected with me. Craig's a potential customer. And not only that, but since Craig is probably connected to other salespeople, Craig is also a potential referral and a potential connection to his connections for me. This is incredibly valuable for you. You're spending all this time and effort trying to buy a list. Your list is here. Your list is here in social if you want it. Take a look here. Remember that post? 58,000 views, 104 likes, 11 comments. Every single one of those likes of this post, I should be figuring out how to connect with and reaching out to. Everyone who's commenting, I should like their comment and reply to their comment and engage with them. Everyone who shared my post, I should be thanking. And I've got 66 people from Ernst & Young who have looked at this post, who have viewed it, along with people from Amazon and Accenture. Now just a little inside baseball. Zinbit works with Salesforce licenses, right? Can you take a wild guess how many Salesforce licenses are between Ernst & Young, Amazon, and Accenture? Tens of thousands, maybe, potential customers of mine. So then when you look in your comments and you see, people commenting, and then you're commenting on their comment and they're commenting on you. This individual, Jason, has not only commented on my article, but I wrote him back on my comment and he commented again. Jason is really engaged with me. He really likes what I say. I want to talk to Jason's customers. I want to talk to Jason about himself. I want to maybe create a partnership with Jason, get some referrals from Jason. Why do I spend my time buying a list if I can have this level of engagement with someone like Jason? You have to understand the most important about content rule is not about the widget that you're selling. It's not about Zinbit and what it does. It's not about XYZ. It's about what that thing does for you. And what do I mean by that? I mean the fact of the matter is that content cannot be, we've all seen that bad content. We've all seen very company-specific content on LinkedIn, and it's been laborious for us to look at. We don't like sharing it. We don't like reading it. We pass it on by. Think about what interests you. And what interests you, again, are story, questions, engagement, asking opinion. It's not, whether you have polyurethane wheels or titanium hardware. It's about the fun you have on the skateboard. It's about where the skateboard takes you. You have to think like a storyteller when you're sharing content and when you're sharing other people's content, right? So this is what I call the math of multiple channels. So let's say you have LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And let's say you just do 10 shares and retweets a week on each one of these social media profiles. So there's 10 articles on LinkedIn that you share to your network and ask for opinions. There's 10 tweets that you retweet. There's 10 Facebook posts that you share to your network, right? And then for each of these, you create 5 posts a week. So that's 2 shares a day and 1 original post a day. So that's 3 things. 3 things. That's an hour's worth of work, right? A day. Less than an hour, 45 minutes. half an hour maybe. You do this, at the very least, you'll be able to turn that into 10 new prospects each week. And these are 10 new prospects that will actually have meetings with them, have meetings with you, talk to you about information, talk to you about what you're selling and what they're interested in. Because you're engaged. Because you shared an article, you commented on each other, you've maybe connected, you friended, you followed. And people will then have meetings with you and talk with you about these things. It really is a much different kind of mechanism than traditional prospecting. And again, remember at the beginning of this presentation, you don't have to go all in. This isn't right here. This math, doing this, is not precluding your regular prospecting. I'm asking for 30 minutes of your time a day, 45 minutes at the most, in order to do two shares and one post on each one of these social profiles. And then manage and measure that and see what happens. And invariably what I think, again, this is my opinion, but what I think you'll see is the value and the quality of the connections you're getting through social are going to start outpacing what you do in traditional prospecting. And you have to remember, these aren't 10 names you got off a list. These are 10 names that have interacted with you. They already know what you do. They looked at your profile, and after knowing all of that, after knowing you're a salesperson, they found enough value to connect with you in some way. You've overcome that initial hurdle of people not liking to talk to salespeople. So, a little bit like Mission Impossible, but I like to call this Mission Probable. Here's some homework if you'd like to accept it. Rebuild your customer or your social media profiles like you're looking at them like a customer. Take off your salesperson glasses, put on your customer glasses. Friend, connect, and follow everyone you've ever sold anything to. Just do it. Share and create content. Ask for opinions, comments, and likes from your network, and keep it interesting for your customers. Not for you, for your customers. And you interact immediately with those who interact with you socially. If someone comments on one of your posts, immediately like it and then comment back a thank you, start a debate, start a conversation. But people like to be recognized, that they've made a comment, that they've offered their own insight. And I tell you what, you do that and you're well on your way to utilizing your social media profiles and your social media brand as a prospecting tool. And for me, it's literally turned into a prospecting engine. I don't make cold calls anymore. I don't have the time, because the number of engagements that we have socially are increasing exponentially. And if you're interested in a little bit about what we do at Zinbit and what I do at Zinbit, feel free to go to www.zinbit.com. And if you're a Salesforce customer, you'll be able to trial our software. What do we do? Very simply, we make CRM invisible for you. So if you're a salesperson and you absolutely hate alt-tabbing into Salesforce and entering data into Salesforce, take a look at us, because we help you not have to do that anymore, number one. And number two, we also provide you valuable insight into what your customers are doing with your content, with your website, with your blog posts, with your emails. And then that way you're able to merge that data with Salesforce and really spend time on customers that are spending time on you. You send 2 emails, one person, neither one of them responds, but one person clicks your links in it, forwards it to their boss, goes to your website, runs your video demo, all that stuff. All things being equal, are you going to call or reach out to the customer that didn't do anything with your email, or did all those other things with your email? And you're a salesperson, so I think you know the answer. So thank you so much for viewing this recording. Feel free to go ahead and reach out to me. You can reach me off of the zenbit.com website. You can also look for me on LinkedIn. I'm also available. I'm at Real Sales Advice on Twitter. And you can also find me, Derek Wazinski, on Facebook. Thanks so much for your time, and please have a wonderful, wonderful day. And happy selling.